Senate Republicans plan a $100 million ad blitz as a fight to retake the chamber. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back again with a new video, and today it is time to talk about the 2024 US Senate elections because everyone, it appears that Senate Republicans are finally doing something. I mean, we are in June, and before now, we haven't really heard anything from the Senate GOP about what they're spending money on, who they targeting, etc. We heard some plans maybe 5 months ago, but ever since then, we haven't heard any real updates or really anything of note since then. Well, finally, it appears that Senate Republicans are finally doing something as they plan a $100 million ad blitz as a fight to retake the chamber. Now, before we continue with today's video, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Again, folks, so support is greatly appreciated, and yeah. Now let us get into it. The National Republican Senatorial Committee is planning to spend more than $100 million on advertising as part of a massive effort to retake control of the chamber. Yeah, $100 million. Now, granted, this should have been announced like 5 months ago. The fact that we're in June and they finally decided to spend any type of money is kind of pathetic. But it's better late than never. Now, granted, I wish they would have done this back in, like, March or February, but at least they're spending money. At least they've realized, okay, we can't just sit back and spend $0. We gotta spend something. The outline of their spending plan, shared first with Politico, offers insight into how the Senate GOP has attempted to mitigate a brutal cash deficit with Democrats and rebound after losses in the past 2 cycles, which, by the way, this quote-unquote cash deficit, after last month, it's gone. We know this for a fact. The fundraising reports just came out, and guess what? Trump in particular absolutely mopped Democrats with fundraising. So you would assume that after the recent fundraising cycle, the past month or so, they have money. Therefore, they're actually able to invest in key races. While the committee shared few details, its broad strategy is clear. Rely on wealthy recruits to self-fund and draw big donors, take advantage of Joe Biden's unpopularity to save money in key battleground states, and use independent expenditures to complement those efforts. Now, we've been hearing about this for months, hell, years at this point, that the Republican Party wants to rely on self-funders. Here's the problem with this strategy. They invest a lot of money in primaries, that's true. We see this quite a bit where, yeah, the self-funder spends $50 million on a primary. The problem is, when the primary ends, they usually spend next to nothing in the general, because it's a very expensive ordeal. And that's why I think it's not the best strategy. I really don't think it's the best idea to rely on just big donors, because guess what? Yeah, they might spend a lot of money in the primary, but after that, do you really expect them to spend $150 million of their own money on one Senate race? I highly doubt it. They might spend like $5 million, but after that, good luck. They're not going to spend the amount needed to actually win. The NRSC will begin placing reservations for independent expenditures on Thursday in 4 states: Ohio, Nevada, Michigan, and Arizona. Very smart states, but I'm surprised they didn't include Montana. Like, that's a one state that you would think for sure they would spend $50 million on at the bare minimum. But it seems like for now, Republicans are thinking, okay, maybe with Montana, we're actually doing way better than we thought, that we don't have to spend so much money there. I would still invest quite a bit because it is John Tester. But I think they've realized that it's Montana. It's a Trump plus what, 20 state? I highly doubt you're going to see a ticket split that big, and they must realize that, yeah, more than likely, Tim Sheehy's going to win. Just for the simple fact, it's Montana. It's not, a swing state. It's one of the most Republican states in the country. So that's probably why in the initial spending, they're not investing into Montana. But they're spending on Ohio, Nevada, Michigan, and Arizona. I would still put Montana, and I would even argue Wisconsin here. But these are actually good ideas. It's not like back in 2022 where we spent money on Washington. We spent money on frickin' God knows what. States that had no chance of flipping. Here it's like, okay, let's target the states that we actually have a chance in. The committee described the buys as a multi-million-dollar investment in TV and digital, but declined to specify the total size of them or the breakdown per state, which I would assume that states like Nevada and even Arizona, they're probably getting way less than, say, Ohio and Michigan. I would assume so because look at the polling in Nevada and Arizona. We're not looking too good in those states. So it would make much more sense to spend like 40 million in Ohio and like 20 million in Michigan or something like that. And then the rest on like Arizona, Nevada, Montana, etc. That's what I think they're doing. It would make sense, but this is the Republican Party we're talking about. Knowing them, they probably put $90 million into Nevada and $1 million in Ohio. That's Republican Party for you. They would 100% do something like that. I don't think they are in this situation, but I would not be surprised at the end of the day. Oh yeah, they spent $90 million on Nevada. Republicans will need to maximize the use of their dollars as they try to win back the Senate. They will gain control if they flip just one additional seat in addition to the near-guaranteed pickup in West Virginia, following the retirement of Senator Joe Manchin, which, yeah, they don't invest a dime here. Jim Justice is going to win, and he's going to win by a lot. Now, rumors are circulating that Manchin might enter the race, but there's no way he could win. Jim Justice is going to be the next senator. Now, again, we should be focusing in on Montana and Ohio. But they understand that, okay, West Virginia, that's off the table. We don't have to spend a dime there, thank goodness. This isn't like 2020 where Republicans spent $250 million on South Carolina. Remember that? Yeah, Lindsey Graham won by what, 10 points? So it seems like they've gotten a lot smarter since 2020, certainly since 2022. But to build a sizable majority, Republicans have to go through several cash-rich Democratic incumbents who have built strong independent brands and proven themselves to be formidable fundraisers, and yeah, that's true. But the problem is, the states like Ohio, states like Montana, they're going to vote for Trump by so much that I highly doubt that even Tester or Brown can win. Just because, Moreno's supposedly a weak candidate, it's still Ohio. You're talking about a state that is going to vote for Trump by over 10 points, and do you really think Moreno is going to do 10 points worse than Trump in Ohio? It's possible, maybe like 5 points, but a 10-point difference? I don't know. Even for Brown, he never did that back in 2012. It was like a 1-point difference between him and Obama. It wasn't a 10-point overperformance. And in 2018, it was a blue wave. So I don't think Brown in Ohio or even Tester in Montana, they're quote-unquote independent brands, even though they vote Democrat 95% of the time, and that's being generous. Well, I don't think it's going to work this time around, especially in a presidential year. The GOP has long faced a massive fundraising gap with Democrats, a disparity they partially blame for losing the chamber in 2020 and failing to recapture it in 2022, and I'm glad they finally realized, hey, maybe we shouldn't have spent $500 million on, say, Washington Senate race. I know we didn't, but it's felt like it. But we spent nothing on Nevada towards the end. We spent absolutely nothing on Blake Masters. It's like, okay, I think they finally realized, hey, we should actually spend money on the key Senate races. Don't blame Trump for picking the unelectable candidate. Let's actually spend money here and see what happens. Just don't forget about the state because your supposed electable candidate lost. This cycle, party operatives cobbled together a new strategy to overcome it. A key aspect of the GOP plan was recruiting wealthy candidates who can inject their own fortunes, and those of their wealthy friends, into their campaigns. The NRSC landed such candidates in Ohio, Montana, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. But in my opinion, the biggest takeaway from this is they actually mentioned Ohio. Remember, in Ohio, Bernie Moreno was not the establishment pick. They wanted Matt Dolan. And Bernie Moreno won in a landslide. But either way, back in 2022, if their candidate didn't win, say, in Arizona with Blake Masters, he won the primary. Instead of trying to help him, they just forget about him like, oh, we lost the race, we're not spending a dime there. But now it seems like, hey, even though our candidate, the supposedly electable one, didn't win, we're not going to sabotage ourselves by forgetting the candidate exists. We're going to actually spend money to make sure he can win. We might have to spend more effort in the race, but at least we're going to invest. That's a huge difference. Remember, Blake Masters got royally screwed. I don't care who you are. that was complete horseshit what Mitch McConnell pulled. Where he said, we have a fake study conducted that shows Blake Masters has no chance to win, so we're going to spend no money on him. Well, guess what? He got outspent like, what was it, like 80-1? And he lost by 5 points. Which, yeah, 5 points is quite a bit, but when you're outspent by that much after a very brutal primary against Mark Kelly, are you that surprised? They were coping, and they realized their strategy in 2022 didn't work. They realized, oh crap, we actually have to invest in races even if we don't like the guy, because we saw what happened. They banked on Pennsylvania and Georgia, forgot about Arizona, and frankly Nevada at the end, and that cost them the Senate. Because can you imagine if Adam Laxalt won? Can you imagine if they spent money on Arizona? Who knows? Maybe we have the majority. Hell, I think for sure we would be at 50-50 right now. A second crucial piece is a heavy reliance on joint TV ad buys between the campaign arm and the candidates. Campaign finance law allows them to place a large ad buy together, and crucially, pay the cheaper rate offered only to the candidates by making a hybrid ad that supports both a candidate and a political party. For example, such an ad in Ohio would need to attack both Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown and the Democrat Party as a whole. The ads can be awkward to deploy effectively, but they allow for cheaper ads of which the NRSC only pays a portion. Oh my goodness. The Republican Party's doing something different. They're doing something smart. But my only problem is, well, you should have been doing this for years. If you had a big fundraising problem, why didn't you try to use these hybrid ads? Now, granted, it can sound awkward. I mean, you have to attack both the candidate and the party, but still, it's like, okay. For example, Blake Masters in the Arizona Senate race in 2022. You're telling me, instead of trying to even spend less money on hybrid ads, okay, you don't even do that for him. You decide, oh, we're not going to spend a dime on him. Just like, why? You could have spent just $5 million and say, well, we actually did something here. But nope, they didn't. The fact that now they realize this is pathetic, but it's better late than never. That they realize that we can actually spend money in states like Arizona, states like Ohio, and not have to spend as much. Because yes, super PACs spend quite a bit of money on these ads. The NRSC has already began running joint ad buys with Tim Sheehy in Montana, Dave McCormick in Pennsylvania, Larry Hogan in Maryland, Sam Brown in Nevada, and Kari Lake in Arizona. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of adding Larry Hogan here, but at least they've realized, okay, Tim Sheehy, we gotta make sure he wins. Okay, let's give some support to Kari Lake and Sam Brown. But Dave McCormick, I thought, had money. I thought the whole point of him was, well, he had so much money that we don't have to spend anything on him. I thought that was the whole point. But you're still spending money? So you lied. You lied about, actually, well, we have no money here, so we need someone to self-fund it. You lied to everyone. But whatever. Either way, it sounds like Republicans here, they're acting smart. And right here, yeah, Bernie Moreno, Mike Rogers, and Eric Hovde will be on the list shortly. Good. They're actually spending everywhere. They're not trying to screw one person over to help one buddy of theirs. Thank goodness. I'm glad the Republican Party, out of nowhere, it seems like they finally realized, okay, a MAGA Republican like, Bernie Moreno is far better than Sherrod Brown, who's going to vote Democrat 95% of the time. But either way, we got to see what happens. The Republican Party could still screw this up, but as of now, it seems like, okay, they realized they made many mistakes back in 2022, and they're trying to fix it. They're trying to fix their mistakes by actually investing in races that we can win in. I still think the Larry Hogan stuff is stupid, but hey, I would much rather them spend like $1 million in Maryland than them not spending anything in Ohio, nothing in Montana, etc. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, to join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.